Hey party people, this is Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games, and today I'm here with another Kickstarter preview of Ignite, which is published by Ginger Snap Gaming. This is a potentially 1 to 8 player game where players are using deck building and they're trying to build up their deck, and they're moving across this modular board that can be created many different ways. They will take their races with asymmetrical powers, 3 of them, and then they'll kind of move across this board and start fighting back and forth. They'll sacrifice some cards in the middle in this bazaar area to get better, to have more honor to spend, and they just duke it out. And they use the lands that you've created by this tiles to just fight in different ways and use tactics. It's absolutely nuts. There's a lot of unique little things here. Even when you die, you can come back. There's a way you can come back. But generally, when you take someone out, you're going to earn trophies. And that's how you win the game. You win it by collecting a certain amount of trophies, or you're the last person standing. There's going to be a lot in this preview. As you can see, I was blabbering on and on. We're going to talk about the setups and the potential with that. We're going to talk about the market exclusively. We're going to talk about the solo and co-op mode. And then we're going to come back to my final thoughts. Feel free to skip around back and forth, but there's going to be a lot of unique little quirks in there. So I encourage you to take a look at the whole thing. All right, party people, I hope you can make an informed decision after this preview. Let's go ahead and get to it. Hey party people, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's go ahead and get through this setup because there's a lot here, a lot to play with and toy with to make variability. So what you're looking at is the board, and the board is actually set up by putting these tiles in there in alphabetical order going up, and then you have the number order going across, and that's just to kind of give you a base of saying, hey, this is where this goes. These are called village tiles, but the rest is actually these modular tiles that you can flip and change the setup. So the opposite sides, they have different weather conditions, things like that. But generally, there are specific edge tiles, but even those can be switched up. But there's a lot going on here. You have the bazaar in the middle, when we'll talk about how that gameplay works. But these are different conditions can happen in here. These can turn into ice. You could have lava, which automatically kills people. You have these kind of cover tiles in the forest, but those can be set on fire. We'll talk about a lot about these different things, but that's the board. Different every time. You also have this market over here, and it's kind of like Dominion, AI, Zen, those types of things for deck builders. I did not put the base 16 in here, but I just put some cool ones in here because I want to talk about the market later on in this video. But as you can see, I got some tokens out here. We'll talk about these damages. We'll talk about these water demons and things like that, and then we'll also just look at some more cards. Now, I don't have minis. These are from Folklore, and I use them to kind of help with the solo and co-op mode because they just sent me these standee things, and I wanted to make it look kind of cool. But I will talk about the solo mode, and these are actually solo and co-op cards. Well, like I said, we'll get to that stuff later, but we want to get to your setup. We want to talk about these races here and your deck. So in this game, you're going to have to pick first. The players are going to pick their race. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit for you. You're going to have 3 people, as you can see, 3 for each one. And actually, the Ratmen are going to be slightly different. Let me go ahead and pull back just a tad. And you have your humans, which are going to have 7 cards instead of 6. So when you deal your hand to yourself, it's going to be 7 instead of 6. You have your catfolk, and the catfolk are going to be able to move an extra free movement. So that actually helps with tactical movement. We'll talk to, let's see, the centaur. The centaur gets extra movement on a movement card. So when they do movement, they're going to get a +1 to it. You have the elves, and the elves get a +1 to their range attacks. You have the dwarves, and the dwarves get an extra hit, so they can get hit for 1 instead of 2. Instead of 2 instead of 1. You have the lizardmen, which actually, as you can see, these little conditions out here, they kind of walk through certain conditions, and this is an instant kill, but they do not get instantly killed. You have the ratmen that actually have more. They have 5 of these people, and instead of having 3 hits like everybody else, they can take 3 damage. They actually take 2 because they have more. You have the panda folks, and they can discard certain card sets to actually buy better cards to start the game. It's a really interesting technique. And then you have the kitsune, and these kitsunes can actually sell cards that are magic, like this right here, and it says 0, and we'll talk about the honor, but they can sell them for 2. We'll touch on that a little bit later. Then you have these setup of cards. You'll have March, which is a movement card. You'll have the Dagger, which is an attack card. And then you'll have this these shields, and these are for blocking attacks. And we'll talk about that later. But what you're going to do is shuffle your cards, and you will deal yourself 6. And I forgot to mention this, but once the tiles are set, once you pick races, the person that's last to pick race, they will pick their starting point, and they can start anywhere on these sides except for the corners. The corners are like a no-go spot, and you can start anywhere in here. So you can pick this area right here, and it actually says in the setup where you would go, but you would start anywhere here. And I could just for example, I could give you like this, just in this setup area. But that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and get to the actual gameplay so you have an idea of how it plays and the many strategies that you can use. Okay, let's look at a player turn. To begin a round of play for you, you are going to have effects take place first. Okay, so I actually have this one right here, and the meteor strike says, hey, I picked a place secretly, and if there's something there on my next turn, boom, this meteor is going to come and destroy it. So guess who I picked? And by the way, I have a nice little setup here so you can see. I picked up your boy right here, this lizard person who's trying to creep up, okay? And it was my turn. Bad choice of turn. They are going to be killed. And now that becomes a trophy for me. I just put it out over here, but I'm going to tell you, all is not lost for this lizard person, okay? Don't worry. This is not where the game starts to end for them, but it's 1 trophy. I need 4. Okay, and that would be the beginning of my turn. Any lasting effects from last round. Now I can start playing cards in my play area, and the play area is right there. I would play for my cards for attack and whatnot. So let's go ahead and show an attack. Do I have just a regular attack? No, I don't. So let's go ahead and use certain things like this. I'm going to cast a spell, because you can cast spells, you can attack, you can hit. So I'm going to cast this spell. It is a lightning bolt. It's a range 1 to 3. And if somebody's next to it, adjacently, they're going to get hit. So I'm going to go ahead and use that, and it's going to get hit for 1. I'm going to choose these 2 terrible brave souls out here. One of them actually has 2 hits, and each character can take 3 hits. Now in the actual game, there's going to be minis there, and you would take swords and put them in their back. I'll have a picture of that so you can see. But they're going to take 1 damage here and 1 damage here. Now that person has 3. They are removed from the board. So boom. All right, I got 2 on her now. This is going really well. Okay. All is not lost for them either. All right, so let's buy some cards. I'm actually going to start here in the bazaar so you have an idea how that works. So the bazaar works a lot different than the village out here. In the bazaar, you have to discard cards, burn cards basically, and trash them. But you get this amount of honor instead. So usually these are used to buy cards, but you're going to use these to trash, and then you will buy cards. I'm going to go ahead and trash this movement card, which I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to get 5 honor from there. And then I'm going to trash this other movement card, which is probably not a good choice. But now I have 5 and 3, which is 8. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to look over at this market over here, and I'm going to find a card that's worth 8, 2 cards worth 4, 5 and 3, whatever I can. But you know what I'm going to use? I'm going to use it to get this Kraken. And when I do get a chance to, and it's my turn, I'm going to use that Kraken, and I'm just going to show you just because I want you to know what it's like. This Kraken is going to be placed here. And if someone were to ever go in here in this water, they would actually be killed and just taken by the Kraken. The Kraken does have 2 hit points. You can hit it from range, but if they were in there, they'd be automatically killed. If someone comes near it, like that, within 1 space, they get killed. So this person right here is kind of in danger right here. So the Kraken is pretty crazy. That's one of the things you can do. Remember, you have all kinds of stuff. You could fly, you can, use mounts and things like that. We'll show you that in the market cards. But I can only do 1 action with this, one of those bazaar actions, because I only have 1 character in there. And that's same for the village, because this village is like a safe area all the way across. So even that lizard man up there, they can take 1 village action. So here we go. I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to buy some more cards. Let's see. I got 3, I got 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play these 5. And as you see, I don't really need this, so I'm just going to go ahead and discard it. But I'll keep it in my hand for right now. So I have 5. Let's see. I am going to buy... I'm I'm going to buy some more arrows because arrows are important. You're going to use these and you have to have a bow in your hand to shoot them. But I have this quiver right here in front of me that says, hey, keep this quiver out in front of me. It's not a champion or anything, but I can keep up to 3 cards in here. So then when the bow comes out, I can actually start shooting them. So I'm going to go ahead and buy this. This goes in my discard pile already. I am going to, oh, do I want to scorch the earth? Let's see. Do I want to scorch the earth in front of me? Yes, I do. Now, I'm going to not hurt myself, so let me go ahead and look at this real quick. Please use Scorched Earth tokens and adjacent to your unit. Any unit that takes 1 damage. Any unit that later moves through the Scorched Earth takes 1 damage. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to take 2 of these and place them in front of me. And where do you think I'm going to put them? I'm going to put it here. No, I'm going to put it right here and right here. And what does that do? They take 1 damage. So this Scorched Earth here is going to take 1 damage. Boom. Okay, I'm going to put that, I'm just going to put it like that. And then I am going to use my 2 free movements. So I'm not even going to use my asymmetrical powers. I've used every card in my deck at this point, in my hand at this point. And I'm going to go ahead and put these over here. But just to kind of keep you abreast here, I could actually use my movement. Like I can use my 2 free movement, kind of like that. That's my power, so I can use it as well. Now, what happens if someone dies? Okay, so these people have died. They're going to miss a turn, so they'll miss this next turn. And then what happens is, let's say for the lizardmen, they're going to come back as these water minions. Okay, and when they come back as a water minion, they will be able to move for 2. And they can attack for 1. Okay, so let's say one of the cats is dead. They come back from their turn, and then they can move out 1, 2, and attack for 1. And yes, if they were to do eventually, let's say eventually they do 3 hits, they actually can gain a trophy. Okay, so they can continue to fight. That is so ridiculous. And it plays out really well, even in a 2-player game, 4-player game, and it could be really chaotic in a higher player count. But I just wanted to show you all the stuff that can go on in this game. Buying cards from the village, buying cards from the bazaar, using all these techniques from, the boards. I didn't even touch on this, but you can set these on. You can set the forest on fire and use it for cover from, regular attacks. You can hit them in the lava and get burned. You can set this as ice. And as you can see, you can put a Kraken in there. But those are all the things that you can do with this board. And on your turn, you would go ahead and clean up that stuff here. That's the cleanup. And then you would draw 6 more cards. And that is your turn. All right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now I got these wonderful cards. Let's see if I get a defense. Yes, I got defense. I got all these. Ooh, I got a bow. Now I can shoot arrows. Ice wall. All right. Let's go ahead and get to the market. Okay, party people, we're going to be looking at this market here of 16 cards. Now, this can be different for every game. I'm not going to show you the base ones that you are very, very used to. You're going to be very used to seeing, because immediately you're going to go in here and you're going to start kind of fighting over what's going to go in here. Thankfully, the designer has come up with some scenarios to kind of say, hey, this is what's going to be in the deck for this setup scenario. But honestly, I just started futzing with these as we go along. Now, I've place them kind of in an order so you can see like what's worth what, and I'm placing them by this. I realized when I was setting this up that I kind of had a couple out of order, but that's fine. I'm not going to cover these because they're exactly the same. Of course, when you attack with an arrow, it's an attack for 1, but then you also have one with fire, which can help with forests. So we have a Mega Bomb. That's a spell, and when you place it, you lay like a magic token. The magic token looks like this right here, and you place it out there tactically, and enemies adjacent to it, that you discard it, and it's kind of like a bomb. You also have movement ones like this chariot. You can move 2 people who are adjacent to each other together. And then you also have these crazy mounts that you can get on, like an eagle. Hopefully they have a mini for that. And then a tiger. Hopefully they have a mini for that. And the tiger actually attacks, which is pretty crazy. I want to show you some of these just because it's tactically based. Like you have cards that you can trash, like this hatchet. You can look through your deck. You look at one card and you can discard it, but you can also throw the hatchet. You got smoke screens, so you can choose one of your units to kind of move away and get some distance. You got Scorched Earth, where you place these fire tokens right here and cause damage. You have, let's see, healing. You have the Chain Lightning, which I showed you already. This blade right here, I can attack everybody around me. This is the bow that I was talking about. So you would have to play this and have the arrows in your hand of 6 cards in order to activate it. You have the quiver, which we showed you, the Kraken, which I showed you, the Meteor Strike, which I showed you has an ability at the beginning of the round, and Cloak of Invisibility. Are you kidding me? This card stays in front of you for 3 turns, and then you secretly write down the space you end your turn. And if any ever unit becomes adjacent to you, then they kind of reveal who you are, but you get to be invisible for a while. Now, let's just take a look at some of these. I'm not going to go through every single one, but as you can see, you have possess. You can possess someone back to back, which is another tactic in its ability. There's abilities. I didn't even touch on titles. My God. All right, so you have Vampire Curse. You can attack someone and steal their health. You have Voodoo Doll, which is a distraction. You put it out between you and a unit, and then they have to attack that unit. Basically, you're fooled. Hexing, so you can put cards in their deck that they can't, that block some of the better cards. You have missiles. There's just so many different things here. Change of heart is a good tactic. The ice wall you can put up so nobody can get to you. So there's also events that I didn't touch on that. There's area of effect spells, which also can help you with getting into force. I forgot to talk about that as well. But there's a lot, and as you can see, I have a huge prototype situation of a whole bunch of cards. I believe there's 50. You have no idea how much content is in here. I know there's an expansion, but there's going to be a lot of cards in your base game. All right, party people. Now, I have to tell you about this solo cooperative mode because, of course, that's something I'm really excited about. And I'm not going to sell you short. Unfortunately, I have to sell you short on actually showing you the gameplay, but I'll tell you why. The rules are really solid. Everything's good to go there. You can play this solo or cooperative all the way up to 8-player. But they kind of, they have this kind of to represent the minions and things like that. I just didn't want to show you minions. I'm going to have some pictures, but I used some of these people from Folklore to kind of give you an idea so you can see how it looked when I was getting my butt kicked. But this is the general idea. You're going to start out with your same race, your same starter deck, and then you're going to basically try to survive 19 rounds. Now, the cool part is you get a little starter amount of turns. I believe it's 5 that you start out with, 5 or 4, and you get to kind of go and kind of seize your market. You're still going to start in the same place, and then you're going to play out your turn. Everything works the same. But for the other side, you are going to have a round card, and each round, of course, they're going to be more and more different types of waves and different things that are added, and they get stronger and stronger. As a matter of fact, they level up and their attacks get even better, and things change. But to add on to that, okay, because you're going to roll for the types of things that come out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and of course those get increasingly harder. But you're also going to roll for positions. So you'll roll a d20, and it'll tell you where they show up on the map. 1 through 18 show up all the way at the top, and then 19 and 20 show up in the bazaar. So you can have at some point 2 things come out at once. They could be fire guys, they could be acid guys, they can be people with ice blades, curse blades, things like that. And then you also have these condition cards that come out, and these can change everything. You could have marksmen that can shoot 1 range further. Attacks can't be blocked. You have Plague Rat, so if you buy something, you get a hex card. You get a hex card. You have Quicken, +1 movement. Let's see. Earthquake, you knock down all your opponents, and this really stinks. Ice Blade is added. There's so many different types of things there. But then you have these as well. You have greater cards, and this will come out at some point as well. And then you have these bigger ones, which they have, let's see, magic only spells from enemies can be used this turn. You have the big catapult. This is a big one right here. An extra second wind, and that means they can attack again. There's a lot of different things you are up against. But generally, the whatever's coming out is going to be placed furthest away, and they're going to have to work their way up. They move 2 times, they move 2 movement, and then they can attack for 1. So at least you know what's going on. But a lot of things you can do to prepare. Make sure you have a good setup for the map that you're comfortable with. Pick the right races. Pick the right market that helps you and your fellow, the people you're cooperating with, set up best for success so you can fight this off. I'm assuming there's going to be scenarios and a gameplay modes that they'll give you to seed and say, hey, this is, let's play the scenario out. But you're going to have to survive 19 full rounds. And guess what? At the 20th, a dragon is coming. And I have a picture of that. I'll show you that as well, along with a picture of me in the mode getting my butt kicked. But then you're going to have to fight this dragon that appears in the middle of the board. So it is crazy. I've never made it to the dragon, so I can't tell you about the experience, honestly. But I know it's tough. Even the designer said it's real tough, and he's working on that. But it's balanced. It seems balanced from what I've played. I've just got my butt kicked. And that is the solo mode in a nutshell. All right. Final thoughts here. If you can't tell, I'm impressed. I wouldn't do this long of a preview unless there was a lot to see and a lot to share. And of course, as you can tell, there is a lot to share. I'm going to kind of break it down by just this. I'm looking at this thing around across here. First of all, the map. That's crazy. You can flip this thing around, and the different setups you can create on your own makes it your fun, you know, like that kind of thing. I like games where you can create your fun and like the potential of your fun, and having those boards to flip around is just pretty cool. You use them to your advantage. The water, the fire, the ice, and how you create those things. It's just really cool. It's different every time. It's fresh every time. The bazaar in the middle, strategically, it's in the middle, so you got to get out there and fight your way there, or sneak and get back. You know, if you're the cat people, you sneak and get back, and then you can burn those cards for, so you make it easier to buy things. Or you stick out in the village and decide, hey, I'm going to stay out here. But if you leave everybody there except for one person, they can only do one thing. So there's a lot, a strategy going on there. Feels like Final Fantasy Tactics, and I like that kind of game. Just kind of where you have to set up and figure out who's going to support who. The asymmetrical powers are a great addition to this. I didn't expect that. I just thought you'd have some normal people and you kind of move across. But that was surprising because that actually changes how you would play. It's kind of like having a job in Final Fantasy. But there's also the market, which is absolutely ridiculous. They have so many cards, and I've kind of blended the expansion and the base game in there because I just wanted to try all these cards. But even in the base game, I used the base cards, it was fun, and then when I started adding things in there and moving them around, there was just so much ridiculousness going on. And it helped me fight through the solo and co-op mode, which is very challenging, and I like that kind of challenge. Plays at all player counts. That's awesome as well. So you have many reasons to bring this to the table. But overall, I should say, I like the solo and co-op mode, and for someone who may be potentially buying this just for the solo and co-op, I can at least tell you that the mode feels robust. It is challenging, and I think it even has more potential than what I'm playing in the rules, and that's why I didn't want to show it all the way and how it plays and make the video super long anyway. And with that, I hope I helped you make an informed decision, because I'm going to leave it right there. We had enough time together, I believe, today. So hopefully you make an informed decision on whether you want to back the game or not. And that is Ignite by Ginger Snap Gaming. I want to thank them so much for allowing me to do this preview. I've had this prototype for a while. And please feel free to like and subscribe below. If you have any questions, you can ask me, and I'll try to answer them as best as possible. And with that, take care, party people. You have a wonderful day.